Welcome to Radiant in Real Life. I'm your host, Beth Medley, and we are a community of women focused on becoming radiant in life, leadership, and the pursuit of Jesus. I'm so excited you're here. Welcome back to Radiant in Real Life. I have to start by telling you that this is real life. And so in real life, we get a touch of some sickness sometimes. So please excuse my squawking voice a little bit. I'm just excited to be with you today, honestly. So this week, I got approached to do an interview for a piece on positive stress in the workplace. And so it kind of got all of my brain juices flowing and thinking about stress and how people deal with stress. And so I decided I wanted to talk to you guys about this today. So when I first was asked about it, I'm not going to lie, I had some feathers ruffled a little bit because I really don't love the term positive stress. I understand what they're saying, and if put into context, it can be a really great tool to understand. But in general, when we think about stress, we think about negative stress. And anytime someone's using that term just in our everyday life, we talk about negative stress. So I wouldn't want it to be something where people are thinking to themselves that stress is a good thing, because the way that we think about the word stress, that's not good. So I'm going to kind of back up and give us a little bit of context to think about what positive stress is first. So if we start thinking about the word stress like a little bit more scientifically, like the way that they would use it medically, and we think about physical stress, right? Exercise is an actual stress on our body. When you're lifting a weight, you're putting stress on a muscle. When you're running, you're putting stress on your body, on your cardiovascular system, right? These are actually really good things. And if you do this regularly and with the proper care, it's going to actually make your body stronger and healthier, right? But if you do these things not in a proper way, and you're not hydrating, or you're overworking yourself, you could tear a muscle or you could pass out, right? Like, I don't want you to be doing that. So that's kind of the way that we're going to see and talk about stress. We're going to take it from that physical context and move it more into like an emotional context. So if you can imagine like a circle, okay, and inside this circle is your comfort zone. And I know that we talk about comfort zones a lot. It's almost cliche. Everybody knows that nothing good happens in your comfort zone. You're not going to grow. You're just going to keep staying the same, which to me, spiritually speaking, and just the way that I believe God made us, if we're stagnant, we're dead. Like we are made for flowing water. Like we are made to have things come in and go out. And if nothing is coming in and going out, we're staying the same. You're just going to die a little bit in your soul. Like, and I know that all of you have experienced this. Like, surely think in your mind of a time where you just had to do something that just killed your soul a little bit. Maybe it was a job or a career, and you're like, this is the worst. Probably you were kind of either, well, it could be toxic, but you're probably hanging out in that comfort zone. So outside of your comfort zone, the next layer, like another circle around that circle, is going to be our growth zone. This is where positive stress lives, or scientifically it's called eustress, EU stress. And in eustress, our body is and our minds are growing. So in eustress, you feel completely capable to be able to handle whatever it is that's coming at you. So it's more like if you have a problem to solve at work and you feel like you have all the tools to do it, it's going to give you energy. It's going to make you more resilient. Like, it's going to grow all of these things in us that we want to grow. This is kind of, this is a really positive place to be. And if you're a builder, like I know that you are, you probably live in this zone a lot. Most people, once they've identified themselves as a builder, they're not going to stay in their comfort zone very often because we already know, right? We can't grow there. So we're going to be in this eustress zone, positive stress. So I want you to think about that. What in your life are good things that are just kind of stretching you a little bit? Like, hello, children. Children are really good things. They stretch me a little bit. It's a positive stress to be a mom. Okay, so then one more ring outside the eustress or positive stress zone is going to be your negative stress or your distress zone. So this is where stress, like we think about it, lives. like anything that is sucking your energy away, that is making you feel tired, overwhelmed. This is where your trauma responses are going to come in, your fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Like that's going to happen in your distress zone. So what happens a lot with builders that I watch is that we kind of tend to fluctuate between eustress and distress like this. It's like we just kind of weave in and out of the two. And as a coach, a lot of what I do with my clients is kind of help them navigate the stress in their life, because you definitely need some stress. We want to grow, but we don't want it to be too much. So we have to kind of sift through what we're dealing with and kind of look at these things and say, okay, God, what on my plate is truly from you that you would have me do right now? And what is something that I'm putting on myself or that somebody else is putting on me that I'm receiving? So because God, like Jesus is really clear, like his burden is light and his yoke fits well. His yoke is easy and his burden is light. I got it, scripture right. So like he's not going to put anything on you that's ill-fitting. And he is going to continue to grow you. So pretending like God's not going to ask you to do hard things is just a bunch of crock. Like he absolutely is going to ask you to do hard things because he loves you and he wants you to grow, right? But he's not going to overwhelm you with something that's too much. So as we walk through this life, our eustress zone is going to get bigger. So you'll be able to handle more. And then other things outside of like what's going on, if you're dealing with grief, if you have a particularly stressful relationship that's going on, if you have a kid that's sick, like these are things that we can make room for in our stressor zones, knowing that they're going to affect how we take in our everyday life. So the other thing about this that I feel like is worth mentioning is when we talk about positive stress, or if anybody's talked to you about positive stress, I want to make sure that you know that with unhealthy leadership, sometimes stress can be couched in a way that seems like it's good, but it's actually really unhealthy. So I want you to be really mindful. If you have a leader in your life or in your job that is consistently asking you to do things that you have communicated that you are not equipped for, if you've asked for help and they're not responding to that, like just be really mindful, because I've seen it before and I don't want that to happen to you where you're like, why can't I handle this? I'm supposed to be able to handle this, right? And you think to yourself, like, this is supposed to be good for me. And it's really not. So just be mindful. And the other thing is really like surround yourself with people who are going to speak truth to you and are going to see things clearly. So don't be afraid to ask safe people to examine your life and examine your heart and examine your mind with you. A phrase I used to always use was, your mind is a scary place, don't go in there yourself, So I want to go into your mind with you as a community of believers, as women who love Jesus, as iron sharpens iron, right? We need one another. So don't be afraid to be vulnerable and ask for help, ask for discernment, ask the Lord, and then make sure that you're giving that to other people as well. Like when they ask for that and you're in their life, if you're doing life with them, if you're in community, that is part of what God has asked us to do. So that's what I have for you today. If this resonated with you, I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button and leave me a review. I want to hear what it is that you're dealing with in your everyday life. Thank you for listening to our episode today. Hit that subscribe button and leave us a review. So I have one last question before you go. How are you going to radiate this week? In life, in leadership, or in your pursuit of Jesus?